It's Friday. It's May 30th, 2025. It's episode 36. But General Hospital is in episode, I don't know what episode they're in, but it's still the same night. Get into those damn gowns and tuxes already. Welcome, everybody, to another special edition, extended, of the General Hospital Snarkcast. I'm David Snark Jr., and this is Mama Snark, Leanne. And let's just get right to it. Rory Gibson.
Okay, can I just say that I have literally typed Rory Gilmore no fewer than 15 times. That's from the Gilmore Girls,
Girl?
Stars Hollow, not the same person at all. So forgive me.
I cannot think of, and I believe it or not, I was thinking of this last night. I cannot think of another actor who was so universally accepted at the start, which just goes to show you we really needed a change.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've said for the last several years, write Michael off for a couple of years, bring him back fresh. And that's what they did.
They did. This just wasn't years. And I would like to say this. I would like to put to bed on this podcast any comparison we do between Chad and Rory, because I don't want to diminish what Chad did for all those years. I don't want to take away from his skills and anything, and we know that this recast is going to re-energize the entire show, and that's exactly what it's done.
Well, true. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, oh, come on. Was he that bad? No, of course not. He wouldn't have lasted 15 years if he was that bad.
Right.
And I know he has a very strong fan base. I look at things from the perspective as a writer and as an actor. And, I've always said this, that everybody thinks they can be an actor.
Yeah, I know.
Now, does everybody think they can be a doctor? Well, sure. After you go to school for several years and doing, residency and then, yeah, sure, you can be a doctor and you can be an actor too. But here's the difference. You don't have to have any experience to be an actor. And obviously, Chad is very castable. I just think that for the last 15 years, he was miscast. Just like I felt about Emmy Rylan being miscast as Lulu. It just never felt right to me. And, a lot of people have not seen Drew Garrett, who played Michael, the first adult Michael, before Chad came along. And believe me, there was that much excitement about Drew Garrett back in 2009, 2010. So not to take away anything from Chad. I'm sure there are roles out there he's gonna excel at, but I just never felt he was the right fit for Michael Corinthos. And it's as simple as that for me.
So I have a question, because you've been in the writer's room. You've been written for shows that have multiple episodes. Have you ever had a situation where there has been an established character and one actor is in it and that person is recast? My question is, does the writing shift because there's a new actor?
Great question. I would say generally no. But we're dealing with daytime television here. And in daytime television, everything you learn in every other form and genre of television, you throw out when you're dealing with daytime television. Because again, as a writer with daytime television, you are writing these characters over a long term. Most shows, evening cable, what have you, you're talking about 22 if it's on network TV, less than that if it's on cable, maybe 10, 12 episodes. But you tend to start writing to the actor's personality, because the actor is the one bringing the character to life, and they've got to make it fresh every single day. So, why is Diane so sharp all the time? Because that's the way Carolyn Hennessy plays her.
That's right.
Carolyn Hennessy is bringing her part of herself into that role. Probably daytime television is the only example of you can bring your personality into the role. And yeah, I just didn't feel Chad had the right personality for Michael Corinthos. And so the writers responded. A lot of people were saying, oh, well, he was Grumpy Cat because the writers wrote him that way. Well, he wasn't always Grumpy Cat. The writers started to write because that's how Chad was playing it.
Well, and let's face it, he was given some dopey storylines.
Oh, they all have.
The Wiley thing was great. That was early on, right? But then we had the whole Willow cancer saga, and he had to play to that. I don't know. It's just been one dumb thing after another. And frankly, I will say this: Chad's last appearance in the penthouse right before leading up to the fire was the strongest he had ever been. He finally stepped into the role of power and authority and maturity. And the comment I made this morning on the page, and I used the example of Michael's conversation with Jason yesterday. So we're talking Rory and Steve Burton, right?
I get it. I'm gonna do my best to respect your decision. In the meantime, my focus will be on Wiley. Amelia, I already know it's gonna be a knockdown drag out with Will and Drew.
Well, if that's the case, is there any room for a compromise?
It had a whole different energy. It was two adults talking to each other. It was two mature, capable, sensible people having a conversation about a difficult topic, but they were talking to each other like adults. There was no over dramatizing. There were no weird facial expressions. Now, I'm not saying that Chad would have done that. That's not what I'm saying. But it just felt so refreshing to me to have this exchange because Jason has always been the father figure to Michael, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's been kind of that inequality in the relationship with when Chad was playing it. And all of a sudden I feel like they went, we're even, we're peers. We get it.
Yeah. So. There was not a lot of character growth in the last 15 years. And I feel like overnight we got the character growth.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't know anything about Chad's private life, why he decided to leave General Hospital after 15 years, what's going on with him. But it was very obvious to me in watching him play this role that he was not happy. He did not enjoy this role. And I don't know when that happened, but it was very clear to me watching him on screen that he didn't care anymore. He wanted out. We wish him well. Mm-hmm. But
I read yesterday he's doing some theater right now, which is wonderful. That's frankly, everyone who's been on television needs to go back and do some theater and then bring that experience back. But
yes, but back to Rory Gibson. Yeah, no, it's just a world of difference. And yes, this was the right time with a switch in actors to make Michael stronger, to make Michael a leading man, which is what he needed to be. I kind of feel like Chad was the
prince in waiting.
Thank you.
He was the prince in waiting to take over. And this Michael just said,
took over.
I'm the prince. I took over. Yeah. And I was thinking about when I wrote the article for Substack yesterday, we've seen him less than 10 minutes on screen. Well, within the first, 15, 30 seconds of his entrance into the nurses' ball, his energy was so powerful and his presence was so there. I'm sold 100%.
The role of Michael Corinthos is now being played by Rory Gibson.
Come on, buddy. I'm going home.
I'm actually, believe it or not, excited to see him in scenes with Sonny.
Yes, and with Drew. I want to see him in scenes with Drew.
Oh, well, yeah, of course, that too. He can hold his own against Carly.
Well,
with Sonny. And of course, some of you out there would like to see how he does with Moss Pot.
I'm sure he'll have great chemistry with Mossbot.
If they ever get to the next day, which I think is today, probably, because yesterday's episode felt like, okay, we're putting this day to bed, right? There's nothing left to do on this day. But boy, what a week.
It's been
I mean, if you're going to be on the same night for 2 weeks, because let's face it, the custody hearing is going to be on Monday. It's not next week. Well, it is next week because next week is June 2nd on Monday. But, in Port Charles world, it's
several
still the
days
night of
later.
the nurses' ball.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be the hearing. So we're that close to it. But let's just hope they can keep up the momentum that they have had these last 2 weeks. I don't think it excites me as a writer to see that every beat was played. We had that whole, was it Monday? Tuesday was just people reacting. If you had to sum up Tuesday's episode, there was really no plot. It was people
aftermath.
reacting, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to see this stuff that we always complain about in secret, invisible episodes. Where was the confrontation with this person? Where was the confrontation with that person? We saw it all. And as I said on the page, I was actually surprised. Sonny was the most rational and sympathetic.
You didn't even know Gio was your grandson.
I could have done more. You know that, Lois.
Honey, when Brooklyn got pregnant, we didn't even know that Dante was your son.
When did Camilla die?
When she died, all that other truth was coming out.
Sonny has so many different personalities, except he really doesn't. The basically teeny tiny mob boss is a kind human. He really has a good heart, but he's somehow very ineffectually a mob boss as well, who can shoot people in cold blood in direct range. Poor John Cates still lying on the Quartermain's deck. We don't know what happened to him. But that didn't surprise me that he would be the one who would kind of hold everyone together. And he dealt with Olivia, he dealt with Lois, he's going to deal with Michael, and that's going to be great. Yeah, this is the pacing and the tying up and the way they we were able in the nurses' ball. Now, the Christina situation is still unresolved. And in fact,
they never got to the nurses' ball.
No, and she was in the opening credits yesterday, and I was like, oh, are we going to go back to that? But no, we didn't. It was a tease that didn't happen, but we moved significantly the Michael Willow Drew story along, and we did the whole Gio reveal in one night. Remember how we've talked about for the last several weeks, and this is going to go on till October.
When is this going to happen? Well, it happened. And as we pointed out last week, it happened in a way we didn't expect.
Oh, I was
great.
So pleased. I was surprised. I wish in a way we hadn't gotten the tease of Michael in the airplane the day before he arrived.
It was unnecessary. Yeah.
I wish we just had him dash into the nurses' ball and everybody go, and also they didn't need to say Michael Corinthos is now being. No, we knew who he was. There was no problem. We did not need to know that was.
I respect that old fashioned, although I'm used to it at the beginning of an episode, which I think it would have been more effective than.
Well, isn't that what they do in the theater? Or they just hand you a piece of paper tonight, the role of blah, blah,
blah. They usually, they don't announce it anymore. They hand you a piece of paper and it's on the call board out front. But no, in the past, soaps used to, announce it at the beginning of the episode, which would have made us like the whole episode. When's he coming in? When's he coming in? When's he coming in? It was epic this week. And I found a YouTube channel where I guess these two women like post the clips they want to post like right after the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, this week they were posting all the Michael scenes. So, of course, I watched them before I watched the episode. That's how exciting it was. And I swear I must have watched one or two of these episodes at least twice in the past week because there was so much information coming out.
My experience last week was that every single day we had the last scene and I was not ready for it to end. And I rarely feel that way.
They picked it up the next day. We didn't jump.
Which which
Jump
is a
time.
horrible thing that General Hospital does. And
Yeah.
yes, I appreciate that we got all the in-between scenes.
Yeah.
One of the aftermath scenes that I really enjoyed was the scene yesterday between Ned and Tracy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They have such a delightful relationship and chemistry, and they've worked together for so many years, and
Yeah.
they're
30 something years
yeah,
now.
and just the way they were poking each other in character, it was just delightful. And those did it move the plot along?
No,
No, except that Tracy said she thought she knew who had revealed this. That was
right,
it.
right, right. That's
Those are the
but
moments. Yeah.
that's plot coming out of character. Who could have done this? Oh, I know. That's what I've been, folks out there, that's what I've been complaining about ever since I started to restarted to watch General Hospital back in 2012 is plots come out of the characters. It's not the other way around. Now, granted, why are we in this situation? Because plot, the writers decided we're going to retcon, but it's probably one of the best retcons, even if it doesn't make total sense. It's one of the best retcons I've ever seen because of all the drama that it's created. Now, here's the question. Can they keep this up? We still have, as you said, we've not seen Christina and Alexis since their confrontation, so that's got to be picked up. So let's keep the threads going. Drew's taken the ring,
Oh, that was a good twist. That was a really good twist.
and we got to see in real time Drew brainwash Willow in the car.
As much as we hate the character, it's sort of brilliant the way they're writing him because his manipulation is not super overt. It's slightly subtle. I
It
mean,
is,
we know
it
what
is,
he's doing, but it's not in your face weirdness. He's really knows
and
how to turn her dial.
and I know it's a stretch for people, but let's face it, Drew the character was not working. They
Oh,
needed to
when he
do
was with
this.
Carly, that was
Yeah,
so not okay.
they needed to do this
Mhm.
to basically reboot him. And it does follow with his past because as a Navy SEAL, he would be trained in psychology and
Mhm.
manipulation. So this does fit into his character. You
And
got to have the love to hate person on a show.
and it gives a better foil to Jason.
Yeah,
Remember the twins who share memories. Don't forget
but not height.
that. But it makes the contrast that much more interesting. And the fact that they have started to write Jason as a whole human being as opposed to an automaton. And that's very helpful.
I think we're going to start a new segment on this Snarkcast. General Hospital's Snark Goofs. Because there were 2 goofs this week. One I caught, one a patron caught.
Oh.
Now, the one I caught, I talked about on the page, was Michael enters the room. There's Wiley front and center of the dance number. Daddy! And then it's like, why did it take him like 30 seconds to run? Bad editing or something there. But it was like, he sees his dad, then they cut to Michael, and he's standing there and he's waiting and you see like half the stage. And finally, Wiley comes running around the corner. I'm like, yeah, they could have snipped that a little bit. And the other one, and I'm so sorry, snarky person out there who brought this up. I should have taken note of your name so I could give you props for this. Sasha mentioned that Donna was asleep when she got there. So, she'll be so excited to see Michael in the morning. Well, she was in that number too.
Oh, right. You're
Michael at the
right.
nurse's ball.
Oh my gosh. You're right. You're right. I didn't even catch that. Of course, the kids. That was a cute number, by the way. We didn't get to talk about that much, but that was a cute number.
Yeah, you can forgive a lot when it's a kid's number. I don't even think I graded it. So I was like, let the public grade it. I'm not going to put a grade on this. It is what it is. But yeah, it was a nice way to end the nurse's ball. This brings up a good point. And I was thinking about this week because, as you know, we do read the comments when we can on the page, not just for policing purposes.
No.
Which sometimes we have to do, but to see what you all think, because we've always said you guys are more brilliant than we are.
And you
funny.
catch details that we never see,
Right.
which is so great. Yeah.
Right. And we've caught our share of details that other people don't see. But here's a problem that I'm starting to see. Well, starting to see. It's been a problem for a while, but I'm just taking notice of this. There were a million questions this week. Well, where's Maxie? She should have been at the ball. People answering, well, Maxie's home with Bailey Lou sick. Well, where's Spinelli? He should be there with James and Georgie. Well, da 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 da. You know what, folks? This is what comes of fast forwarding. You miss details that are there. Believe me, I will be the first person to pick out that this does not make sense or the continuity is off or something. It's there, but if you're fast forwarding a character you don't like or a scene you don't like, you're missing the information that is being given. And, as a writer, believe it or not, General Hospital has a structure. The episodes are structured a certain way. When you're fast forwarding through a show, you're not getting how the writers intended to lay things out for you. And so you miss stuff.
You do have our permission to fast forward through stupid love scenes, though. There's no plot point we're going to miss there.
That was a big thing. Like, oh my God, why did they have to insert that in that episode? That was so unnecessary. Well, guess what? Believe it or not, I'm sure somewhere in the GH universe, there are people who actually like Kai and Trina.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to them making love. So that was their day. They got to celebrate that day. And we got to laugh at Kai's terrible boxer shorts.
And that he fit in Trina's bed.
And he's having sex right after he's had a major operation.
Right. Never mind that. Yeah.
We'll allow it. But yeah, somebody out there was looking forward to that scene. They had to insert it somewhere. Haha. Pun intended, I guess. But that's where they put it. And yes, it was sort of distracting and sort of felt off from the rest of the episode. But there you have it.
There was another explanation you gave on the page that I would like you to repeat here about why certain characters weren't at the nurses' ball, having to do with their contract of how many days they appear in a month. Could you go over that again, David? That was a really good observation.
It's kind of complicated unnecessarily, but when you're writing a soap opera, every actor has a different contract. Yes, there's a standardized contract you get when you're new and you're signing to a show. But most of these actors who are coming to this show, even Rory Gibson, he came from The Young and the Restless, probably negotiate their contracts for certain perks. Mm-hmm. So the reason you might see Carly 4 days a week is because she's got a 4-day-a-week guarantee, which means, yes, you don't have to show her for 4 days a week, but she's going to get paid for those 4 days. So they're going to, believe me,
might as well use her. Yeah.
They're going to squeeze $1 out of her. It varies from week to week. So if you have a 4-day-a-week guarantee, but you're not on that week, yeah, you're going to be on 5 days the next week. As long as they get those 4-day-a-week average per month. So 4 days a week in a month, you're doing 16 appearances out of 20 episodes. Yeah, that's a lot. And Jeannie Francis has been on a lot. Lucky was on a lot for a while. So that's probably why they disappeared. They'll show up probably in today's episode or early next week and say, oh, I had a meeting that ran late. I couldn't get over to the nurses' ball. Or Lucky was out running an errand while Liz was watching the nurses' ball with Lucas. It's a hard thing to do because the writer not only has to write the show and tell the story and lay out the plot, but they also have to work around these actors' contracts. And if they use them more than their guarantee, they have to pay them. And like I said just earlier, if they use them less, they have to pay them. So that's the reason sometimes characters are sort of absent and there's an excuse like, oh, Maxie's taking care of Bailey Lou. The other thing I want to address is, Mama Snark found this out. I knew this from last week. They inserted that scene with Lucas and Liz last minute. So that was actually filmed, I think, less than a week before the air show where they inserted those. But I love those scenes.
And why did they have to shoot them? Because Lucky was supposed to perform. And for some reason, they cut those scenes. Something must have gone wrong in the production or something. I don't know. But they cut Lucky's number and then stuck those scenes in. And frankly, I'm so glad they did.
They were
It
great.
was so reminiscent of Britt and Brad snarking the nurse's ball. And frankly, I would have liked 7 times more scenes with Lucas and Liz snarking the nurse's ball. That was
Going back to
fantastic.
them. Yes, because Liz was kind of feisty. I like that.
Yeah, feisty Liz with Lucas
Excuse me.
being his snarky self is very entertaining as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
So what else struck you about this fallout, and what were some of the scenes you enjoyed the most?
I really am madly in love with the Gio Emma situation.
Even if Dante hated you, which he doesn't, you're not alone. Okay, you have so many people who care about you, me included. Why don't you come back with me to my grandma's? You could stay for a while, and I'd really love it.
I couldn't impose.
Well, we can't stay here because it's getting chilly. Where you go, I go. You just need to decide where that is.
I love the chemistry they have with each other. I love how the characters support one another. It's not supporting a character is different than propping a character, right?
Right. Yes.
Propping a character is when everybody goes around telling you how wonderful Sonny is because he gives back so much to the community. Never mind that he shoots people. That's
Never
propping.
mind. We only have 4 murders a year.
Yeah.
If Sonny weren't here, there'd be 14. And whenever they say that, I'm like, you need to get a better police force
Right.
in this
But-
town. If you can't keep mobsters out.
So Emma showed up. We have 2 characters who showed up that we all went,
Yeah.
and the writers read the room and said, okay, Emma came on way too strong.
Way too hot.
Gio was a nothing. Let's kind of massage this and put them together. And those scenes on the bridge and in the Quartermain lobby, whatever you call that, ante room,
Right.
were so powerful because she is utterly supportive of him. It's not, it's I will go with you. I will stay
Yes.
by you.
Yeah.
I will help you walk through this because they are the friend to lover trope is one of my favorites. And they are friends. And we're seeing this very slow. I mean, frankly, when she took his hand at the bridge, that wasn't romantic. That was supportive.
No. Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
And Scott Olson, one of our patrons, said it reminds me of the old 80s soap couples. And if you remember, Luke and Laura were, I wouldn't say friends, but the reason they got close was she was confiding in Luke over her problems with her marriage with Scotty and her problems with her mom and everything else. Same thing with Bo and Hope on Days of Our Lives. It started out as a friendship. And that's the super couple in the making. You want to see that very, very slow burn, how they turn from, because it's very easy to make a friend.
Well, like for example, Kai and Trina. We knew from the minute Kai showed up what was going to happen, right?
Yeah, he's the love interest.
He's the love interest. That's the way it is. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And we're just going to force this square peg into a round hole, if you forgive that analogy. But with Gio and Emma, it's unexpected.
Yes.
It's a surprise.
Probably even for the writers.
Right.
It's unexpected.
If they continue with this, I don't know if Emma and Gio are going to hit the road in some kind of caper. I don't know, but
It is
I'm up for
summer
a road
coming
trip.
up. I don't need to see the Metro Court pool every day.
Oh God, we're entering danger, Metro Court pool season.
It's past Memorial Day. Any day now, we're going to be showing up on that rooftop pool. This is when, as a soap writer, I hope they're watching their air shows and going, okay, there's something there. We should write to that.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
that's how you come up with your plot is coming out of your characters. You're watching what your actors are doing with the material and writing to that. And yes, it may be planned all along, but it may not be, but it would be nice to see. them eventually become involved.
Well, and
Or
as several people on the page today said, we are watching a super couple in the making, and I absolutely believe that. These two, if they hang around and they stick with what they're doing, and they decide they want to be a soap super couple, because let's face it, I hope they stick around, and I hope we get to watch this at least for the next several years.
Because really there are no other, I don't really see any other soap super couples or couples on the horizon.
I don't know what they're going to do with Michael. My guess is they're probably going to go down the Sasha road, but I would love for there to be something a little bit different there. Like, for example, I'm going to get burned for this. Michael and Ava.
I don't know. I don't know if that would happen, but.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there as an.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see them in conversation. Do Michael and Ava never really interact, though, do they?
Rarely, but they have.
Right. I would like to see them in a conversation and check out that.
Well, again, he'll tour the town like Lucas did when Lucas came back, and there'll eventually be a scene that they have to play together. Now, the surprise of the week for me was the absolute end. I mean, end, not with a period, with an exclamation point, of Dante and Lulu.
I don't want you back, Dante. Ever. From now on, let's just stick to co-parenting, Rocco. I don't even see the need to be friends.
Sounds like a plan.
We are never, never, never getting back together.
That was it. I did not expect that, because
we
usually on a soap, you leave the door open. And this was, I mean, again, and they still might make up, and who knows.
Sure.
But for now, I was kind of glad they did that. That was a risk, and I'm glad they took that risk with these characters, because I don't want to see them together.
No.
I didn't want to see them together when Lulu got back. But, I definitely am like, yeah, no, get away from her. She's toxic.
Now, she is toxic, and I want to make 2 points, so don't let me forget. The first one is that Lulu and Cody still make a very interesting pairing, and I'm not even if it becomes romantic.
Well, they're friends.
They are friends.
They are friends now.
And that friendship works. Of all the people that Lulu interacts with, I like her interacting with Cody the best.
Well, and if you notice, he's the only person she's truly honest with.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
But I will say,
having beers, hanging out on the porch on Maple Street there,
However, the final conversation between Dante and Lulu yesterday, I went back and I watched it again because it bothered me what Lulu was saying, because she was really lying the whole time. Mm-hmm. I didn't do this to get back together with you. Of course she did.
Yeah.
I didn't do I don't want to get, blah, 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 blah. Everything she said was a lie. And I thought, oh my gosh, this woman is despicable, and she deserves the comeuppance that she gets. And I'm hoping, because Lulu is a legacy character, I'm hoping that eventually she kind of rights her ship and gets a little bit more normal, because she's out of control. She needs therapy. She is angry. Unless they really want to make her a bad guy.
Yeah, could be.
Which I'm open to that. If she wants to be the next Nell or something like that, fine. But how many of those do we need?
she came back hot and is still hot, and is, it's like, simmer down.
Exactly. Yeah. Have a few more beers with Cody and let's talk.
Right. And I know you've suggested a Cody, Molly, Lulu triangle. I don't know. I'm not that invested in this Molly. I know she is the lesser of all the evils that we went through after the original Molly, but I'm sort of meh on the character. I mean, she's always been a meh character to me, but I did like her with TJ.
I think Molly has the possibility of taking a story and running with it. She's a good actress. I just don't think they know what to do with her right now. She's she's a background character, kind of like Maxie right now. And
well, and she was a supporting character, not even a supporting character, more of a side character. And we'll do a whole thing on that someday. Supporting characters versus side characters. She's never been important to the show. I mean, she and TJ had that whole romance basically for 12 years, and half the people didn't even know they existed. And then all of a sudden, like, they get a baby story.
and then which was so, I don't know, someone had taken a bad mushroom or something in the writer's room when they decided that Molly, who had never in her entire life ever expressed any interest in being a normal type person,
did not want to get married.
No, why would she suddenly decide she has to have a baby? That was, well, that's in the past. We're going to move on from
because plot. Yes. We're moving forward because we actually like what the writers are doing right now.
Yes. Don't screw it up, guys. You're on the right path.
But since we've had this sort of 2-week block of stuff happening at the nurses' ball and the aftermath, there are a lot of characters we haven't seen in a while. So next week's going to be interesting because it's almost like you have to reintroduce all the like now, where were we with Lucas and where were we with this and we got to get back to
so we have 2 separate custody hearings coming up, correct? We have the Sonny and Ava custody hearing.
Oh no, isn't that done?
Is that done?
Back on? Is it back on? Didn't they come to the compromise?
Maybe they did.
He came over with his heart condition.
Okay, so it's not that I know what I was fantasizing that Christina was going to go on trial for trying to kill Ava. Sorry, I got confused.
Maybe down the road, but yeah.
But we don't know where we are with the Christina carjacking situation. That's still up in the air. All we've come to is that Christina now knows that Alexis knows and that they're being blackmailed. But this has been in a stasis situation, so we'll pick that up here pretty quick.
So we have a lot to look forward to next week. It's almost going to be like introduction of all these characters we haven't seen in the last 2 weeks, or if we saw them, they were either on stage or clapping and laughing in the audience. But and again, I love now we've talked about those soap spoiler pages, which are highly inaccurate. They're clickbait, so spam, the whole, bots posting things left and right. But the pictures,
oh my God,
back me up. And they're using AI now. So it's like, the ones that are smart are using Rory Gibson's Michael, but it's like, that's not Wiley. That's, Wiley burned in tragic accident. Sasha reveals.
It's so funny.
Cody is the father of her baby.
It's so funny you're bringing this up because literally the last 2 days I've been collecting these images.
Oh, funny.
Because I obviously in the edit, I will put them up here, but there's one I found that has Lois's, it's obviously AI, but Lois, the picture of Lois looks like they took Sonny's face and tried to make it into her. It is the scary, well, you'll see it up here on the thing. And
oh my God. There was one this week. We did a From the Snarkcast and it was Brad, Britt, and Mr. Lee.
Oh yeah.
And one of the patrons pointed out, read the AI explanations, and it was like Brad and Mr. Lee's secret romance, and this could be a whole new genre. No, but the other funny thing I see on the page is like, oh, Michael's back and he's strong and he's a leading man. Now he's going to take over Sonny's empire. Or, oh, Gio is the grandson of Sonny. Now he's going to take over Sonny's empire. And I'm like, do you really want these plots to happen? Because if they happen, you would probably be the first person to say, oh, this is a stupid storyline. So why are you suggesting it?
Okay, so since we're talking about things that will be happening, let's plot whisper who gets custody of Amelia and Wiley.
I mean, we know there's going to be a twist, but what is the twist?
If Willow gets the kids because Michael had a one-night stand with Sasha, that's going to be stupid. But
because that would never happen in real life.
And but Drew will throw a monkey wrench into it somehow behind the scenes using his power and influence.
What I would like to see with this new strong Michael, because I was thinking about this when Nina found out very quickly,
Yeah, she's
two together, is I would like Michael to find out about Nina and Drew, and they both blackmail each other. But we'll see.
That's good plot whispering. Whatever happens, it's going to be
next week.
It's going to be next week, and it's going to be really good. It's going to be interesting how Lila's ring figures into all this.
So who's your character of the week?
Well, I've thought about that. And honestly, I have to say, every single person in the last 2 weeks has hit it out of the park. Everyone. There is no one who fell short. Gio was incredible. But look at Lois. Lois and Brooklyn were incredible. Even Lulu and Dante in that comeuppance, incredible. So frankly, I just want to give the whole cast character of the week because this was a nurse's ball that set the standard as far as I'm concerned.
That's funny you say that because I was thinking the same thing. It was like everyone had their moment.
Yep.
And even though people were complaining that, well, Olivia shouldn't judge because, well, we had that scene, but with Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
That's where she wouldn't
And that
judge.
Was beautiful.
Yeah,
all those scenes were so good.
But what I really liked, and I guess it shouldn't surprise me because we've been seeing this from Tracy over the last year or two, is Tracy's compassion.
Oh, yeah. That moment she realized that Gio was her great-grandmother.
Oh, I'm crying now. Look at me.
And now you tell me that I have a great grandson. This is Edward and Lila. They're your great-grandparents. Your great-great-grandparents. This brooch, this belonged to Lila. Gio, everything in this house is yours.
I was crying when she was showing him the picture and the history, because let's face it, she's the only one left, really. I mean, yes, we're expanding our Quartermain universe by leaps and bounds of the old guard. There's no more Monica to come in and give that speech, and Monica wouldn't. But I mean, there's not a character in that house that has the capacity to be snarky on one hand, but yet so compassionate and so wise on the other. My mom was like that. People always thought my mom was, she'll do anything, flippant, this and that. But she had a very, very strong sense of compassion. And, when she just said to Brooklyn and Dante, just be kind with each other.
And
because we're both victims.
Yeah. The whole thing was very well done. David, when was the last time we did a podcast where we weren't tearing it apart? We have literally.
Well, this is episode 36, so never. Never. Yeah, no, it was high marks all around. I really don't understand the people who think GH is at its worst. I mean, even Alan Serapa said, because he's doing a column on GH, I think either this month or next month, that it's like they're going to get high, unless they screw this up, they're going to get high marks. It's really, I mean, the show has been the most watchable it's been in decades, almost.
I can say that after 13 years of snarking and in dedicating my life to watching General Hospital, wow, I did not see that coming. I'm enjoying the show more now than I ever have.
Yeah. Let's hope it continues. Fingers crossed. Now, there's one more person who needs to weigh in. Wicked stepmother.
Oh, well, she hasn't weighed in about the nurses' ball. We had a really fun thing happen. If you remember, last year in November, I went to Hawaii to visit my stepmom, and we did a podcast episode. It was one of our first special editions that we did on the podcast. And Nina, my stepmother, Nina Shipman, talked about her career in television, and we talked about some of the shows she'd been on. Well, I was going through YouTube looking at comments, and some man wrote in and he said, "Could I please have an autographed photo from Nina Shipman?" Oh. I saw her on the Munsters and other shows. She is so beautiful. Please don't personalize it to my name. I will keep it for my collection. Nina gave such a positive, upbeat interview on the podcast. Thank you so much. And of course, I sent that to her, and she was like, oh my gosh. And I sent it to her kids too. And they were like, oh, we love it when mom gets fan mail. So, not text messages per se, but somebody recognizing her from her decades of experience in movies and television. So
that's wonderful.
And it was really funny because, you know, she's always been my stepmom. I've never thought of her as, ooh, she's the actress or she's
Nina Shipman.
Yeah. No, I've never thought of her like that. And yesterday, for the first time, it was like, oh, it's really cool. People really do know who she is and love her. So that was a really fun.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh. So on that lovely note, we're going to end for this week. Oh, but don't forget, there's not only the Snarkcast that you're listening to and or watching. There's also our Facebook page. We're on Instagram. We just kind of repost a lot of stuff because there's a lot of funny stuff on Twitter X. And of course, you can watch the Snarkcast there too. But we're also now on Substack. And our little spin-off podcast of Old Lady. So until next week, we'll see you. Have a great week.